Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Reynolds Coliseum in Raleigh, North Carolina. We've got a fantastic college gymnastics meet here for you. The NC State Wolfpack pays host to the Colonials from George Washington and the Panthers from Pitt. You are tableside. I'm Rachel Garland alongside Sydney Steed, and we welcome you here this afternoon. Sydney, fantastic Eagle Conference matchup. What are we going to look for?
Well, it's a big conference meet tonight, Rachel, and it's still so early on in season. We currently have NC State leading in this Eagle Conference, so it's going to come down to the last event in this competition. Absolutely,
and we're going to take a look at 3 of the 4 top all-arounders. Emily Shepard leading the way, sitting in the #1 spot, but tell us about these 3.
Emily Shepard has just been so consistent these past 2 weeks, and that's exactly what you want to see at this point in the season, especially from one of your seniors.
Absolutely, and Emily led by Wolfpack head coach Kim Landris in her 6th season, getting some last-minute vaulting tips and talking with the assistant coach Bob Starkel there. She was the 2021 Eagle regular season champion with this Wolfpack team, and they are going to start on the vault here this afternoon. We've got George Washington on uneven bars, and Pittsburgh is going to start on the balance beam. Floor exercise is going to be open, but for those that are not new or that are new to a tri-meet format, going to be a little bit different as everyone will be competing simultaneously. And Sydney, just coming as a former gymnast, what's the difference between a dual meet and a tri-meet?
Well, a tri-meet really sets you up for how postseason's going to look. In that Eagle Championship meet, then on to regionals and nationals, you have all people and events going at once. So it's really good practice, but it's a lot more fun because there's somebody going all the time and there's so many people cheering at once. So it's good practice, but it's always more fun too.
Absolutely, and again, these are conference foes. We're going to begin competition. You've got there the George Washington bar lineup. Again, taking a quick look over at Pitt on the balance beam. And we will do our best at times to show you all events simultaneously while people are competing. But Gabby Diaz is going to get us started.
A great way to start off that Wolfpack lineup. You can see it was a solid vault. She did have a hot back, so that'll be a deduction.
Absolutely. Leading off on the bars, Marley York. So we will see her first of 4 events today.
Solid routine so far. Gearing up for that dismount now. And a nice way to start as well. A little bit short on that dismount. Her chest was down, but those are easy fixes.
And Jordan Ewing on beam in the leadoff spot. And Sydney, we talked a little bit at the top of the broadcast about how you were in this leadoff spot on beam. Pros, cons?
I honestly loved being in that leadoff spot on beam. It was a great setup for the rest of the team. And, you know, you finish warm up, you kind of recoup, and then you go. And I loved it. I loved that pressure. But it's definitely a hard spot to be in, so absolutely give her major props.
Fantastic, and we're actually going to see Raina Garvey on this Pittsburgh team a little bit later on, who is ranked 1st in the conference on balance beam.
So far, so good on this beam routine. Again, it's hard to start on balance beam as well. One thing to be in the leadoff, but to start at that event is tough.
Absolutely, and I know at least NC State, they don't have anyone in a tri-meet start on floor, so nobody has to end on beam. The downside of that is then somebody has to start on beam, so I don't know which is worse.
It is nice to get beam done and out of the way, I will say.
Absolutely. Krista Zoltovich for the Wolfpack.
Another good vault for NC State. It looked like her chest was up on that landing, which is why she had minimal feet movement.
Absolutely, and you saw the difference between Diaz and this vault as well, that big hop backwards, a lot more control on that landing.
Right, and some of those fixes, you know, will come as season goes, but really hounding in on those sticks is what will be important for all these teams.
NC State ranked 2nd in the Eagle on this event behind George Washington, who we will see a little bit later on. So again, just one of those things that they're always going to be looking at. This is Annalise Silverman on the uneven bars.
Nice mount onto the bars. Really good handstand to start off this routine. Into a Jaeger release, right back down to the low bar. A little bit of feet.
And a great vault from Lex Ortega.
You can see also on bars, she just landed as well. Had that tiny hop on that dismount, but solid routine.
It's always hard when vault takes, we were, 5 seconds for the vaulter to salute, do their vault, and then salute again. Bar is a little bit longer, maybe 20 to 30 second bar routine, something like that.
I was going to say vault will definitely finish first. It definitely goes the quickest.
And then we've got Kennedy Duke up next for Pitt. Kennedy, one of the freshmen on their team. We'll jump right over to the Wolfpack on vault, Lauren Rutherford.
A nice vault, very good landing. She had good height in the air as well. Form was great. They'll be happy with that one. Getting ready to go into the series on beam. Back handspring, back layout, step out. Came up a little too quick, but saved that.
On the right of your screen, this is Hannah Munnelly. Oh, it just looked like she was supposed to come off on that shapash and foot got stuck?
Yeah, it looked like her foot just got a little bit stuck. Again, that release, you're going backwards, so timing is everything.
Some little balance checks from Dukes on the balance beam. Interestingly enough, is she graduated high school early, just in December, and has really come in. Now she's a college student, but also a college athlete as well.
It's important to note that because sometimes you forget how hard it is to make that transition. You can see on vault, one of our all-arounders, Emily Shepard, huge vault. Nothing new for her though. Fantastic landing. Back over to the bars. Finishing up this routine. A nice finish, double tuck dismount. Again, minimal hop forward, and that just comes from your chest being a little bit down.
And in college gymnastics, they put 6 athletes up, but only 5 scores count. So assuming the other gymnasts in the lineup don't make an error or don't have a fall, then that is the score that they will be able to drop.
Right.
Chloe Negretti in the final spot for the Wolfpack team. There are exhibitions on all the events, so we will see more gymnasts afterwards, but those scores will not be counted towards the overall team score.
Exhibitions are always nice. I know we've talked about it before, but really gives you a look at the team's depth and in the pressure situations. It's really good exposure for these gymnasts. Huge fall, minimal hop. She covered that well, though, I've got to say.
I love it. Like, she does not even smile afterwards. She's like, it's just another walk in the park.
She's just one of those fierce competitors. You can see it in her eyes.
I love it. Her height, her distance, just the overall dynamics of Chloe's vault is phenomenal. If the rest of the team can be that explosive, the Wolfpack's going to be top notch on vault.
Absolutely. They'll be happy with that rotation.
Another look at Coach Landris. Got to be pleased with that event.
I would say so.
And then we've got Madison Benson that's going to be doing an exhibition. We'll see her in some other spots as well.
We notice how quickly the vault is already done.
The vault's back and ready to go, and we're still waiting on Duke's score on beam. Same with Hannah on the uneven bars as well. Madison does actually a different vault, so one of the more unique vaults that we'll see.
It's always cool to see those different, unique, and creative vaults. They're not many. Taking a look at the balance beam.
This is Kendall Foy.
Covered that well. Really good vault landing. Sometimes we forget how hard it is to land forward, but she knew exactly where that was.
Absolutely. That forward landing is considered a blind landing because you don't actually see the floor coming into it. She did look like she landed on the line. We've talked about those new directional lines.
Those new lines will give judges the ability to see when you are a little bit sideways or crooked on the table, so we will see more deductions come from that.
Absolutely. Rachel Katz finishing up on the uneven bars. And Kendall Foy with her beam dismount. So the Wolfpack done with their event. Bars, we've still got 2 in the regular lineup plus an exhibition, and we've got 3 in the lineup on beam plus an exhibition.
Pitt's really doing a good job starting out this beam lineup. Again, we talked about how hard it is to start on an event like balance beam, so I do think getting that event done and then having a solid rotation really sets you up for a successful rest of the meet.
Absolutely, and Coach Snyder, you see there, we talked to her prior to the meet this weekend, and she just said, we just need to trust in the training and go out and compete the way that we've been doing that in the gym. So trying not to put the pressure on them. This is a meet situation, but it's more around you do this constantly, you do it day in and day out, and it's just another routine.
It looks like that wait time too on beam is a little bit more than normal, which sometimes can be difficult. It's hard when you're locked in, ready to go, and you have to wait a little bit. It's a mental game for sure.
Absolutely. Deja Chambliss.
Huge release move on bars. Really good bail down to the low bar.
And I believe we will see her in the all-around today as well.
Nice handstand. Gearing up for that dismount. Double tuck. You know, it looked like she stuck it from our angle.
It really did. It was hard because there were people in the way. Our angle obviously different from what the judges see. Nobody's standing in front of those judges. But it did look like a stick.
Yeah, we'll give her a stick on that one.
This is Christina Weiss for Pitt.
It's really important that on this routine, she's, focused and again, locked in, because she has been sitting and waiting for a while.
Absolutely. And the longer, you're already nervous coming into a competition,
right?
And, when the judges take a little bit longer.
It's nerve-wracking. Yeah, it kind of brings those nerves up, and so you got to be able to kind of reset.
You start thinking.
Exactly.
That's never a good thing.
You want no thinking.
No thinking. But if anyone can do it, it's Christina. She's a senior from just down the road in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Nice full turn.
One day they're going to get rid of the full turn on beam.
One day.
One day. I'm anxiously awaiting.
Beautiful acro series by Catherine back layout. You can just see her form is so great. She's just so elegant on this event.
Over on the bars, this is Libby Garfoot.
Really nice Ginger release move on the bars. Right down to the low bar, again back up to the high bar. Nice handstand. And a nice dismount on that bar routine.
Absolutely.
They're happy about that.
Maybe just a little scooch of a foot?
A little.
Like, it wasn't a hop, it wasn't a step, maybe a scooch.
So a slight deduction, I would say, on that.
All right, Christina's dismount.
Nice back handspring 1.5. That was a solid routine. We talked about earlier today all of the open back leotards, how pretty they all are.
So many of them in collegiate gymnastics. That's one thing I've definitely noticed. But the leotards have, every year, I feel like they get bigger and better and more sparkly.
Absolutely. Can't go wrong with sparkles.
No, absolutely not.
Speaking of sparkles, yeah, now look at
Yes.
George Washington.
George Washington says
Beautiful.
they have got some glitz on their leotards as well.
When we were in college, I don't know about you guys, but we used to put glitter and sparkles all over our face. It was my favorite part.
Yes, along with the tattoos. The tattoos haven't gone anywhere either.
Had to have the tattoos, yes.
All right, Maddie McMullen in the exhibition spot.
A nice reverse hecht. A little bit of flex feet and form, but moving through this routine smoothly. A pack down to the low bar. Get that pirouette.
And again, just giving her some of that conditioning, that experience. So she might not have the perfect form. Her toes might not be perfectly executed, but she's getting that experience.
And that's so important, especially at this point in the season. That's what we want to see, because the lineups will still change. They absolutely will change throughout the next couple of weeks until they find that groove and that rhythm that they want to see.
Absolutely. The coaches are going to be looking at the scores and who's going to be getting better scores based on where they're at in lineups. Unfortunately, there's already been some season-ending injuries in the NCAA, so you've always got to have people ready to step into those spots. So George Washington is complete with their first rotation. NC State complete with their first rotation. We've got a few more athletes on the balance beam. This is Raina Garvey, who again is ranked first in the Eagle Conference right now on this event. She's got a season high of a 9.95, averaging a 9.875 right now.
And just couldn't get that handspring layout. It looked like she was just a little bit off.
Absolutely, just from the get-go. She is a freshman, so still getting some of those just kinks out of the way.
Beam is such a tough event too, because if you're slightly off and your hips are, if your hips are turned or one little thing goes wrong, it's hard to stay on the beam.
Absolutely. An inch in the wrong direction makes a big difference.
Finished off that routine well.
So again, hopefully that will be the score that the Panthers can drop. They've got Haley Copperwheat coming up next. So again, another all-arounder. Fantastic on every event. Copperwheat, a sophomore from Leighton Buzzard, England. And there we'll take a quick look at head coach Margie Foster Cunningham in her 38th season at the helm of George Washington, 8-time conference coach of the year. Just absolutely phenomenal.
It was great talking with her earlier this week too. She really talked about how important it is as a team for them all to come together and be on the same page. And their slogan is "We Will." And I love that. And she talked about them being, a tight-knit group and doing everything together and having the same goals. And so it was awesome getting to hear about their fall and the progressions that they've made. So I'm excited to see them tonight.
I feel like she's learned a thing or two in her 38 years coaching this team. She's probably seen a couple things, learned a few things along the way.
Definitely. She did say one thing that they worked on more than ever this year was the strength and conditioning. And that all fall, it was very, lift focused, strength focused, which is important in the fall. But she said they did it all the way leading up to around November-ish, which is later than most teams would.
Absolutely. And it's interesting to hear about the heavier lifting, because you don't normally think about that with gymnasts, where
Right.
you want them to be smaller and not building all of this muscle, but they do need a lot of muscle in order to be able to perform the skills that they do.
Exactly, and the endurance aspect of that is so crucial to every single event. The earlier you can build that, the better off you are during season.
Most definitely. All right, so moving back over to balance beam, Haley Copperwheat.
A little bit more pressure on this routine coming after a fall.
Yes, Raina just getting a 9.1 on that event. And again, right now, rankings are done by the individual's average or the team's average. That's how the teams are ranked throughout the country. Once we hit kind of midway through the season, that's going to switch into either their regional qualifying score or their national qualifying score.
So far, so good on this routine. She looks solid and confident. Nice back handspring, back layout. Doesn't even move. This was a test, though, and this is exactly what you want to see. In a double turn on the balance beam, that is not something that you see. Made that look easy.
Absolutely. And I remember talking with Coach Snyder, and it was, she leaves that up to Haley. And if she's feeling it, she's allowed to do it. If she's not feeling it, she just does the full turn. But that, I wasn't sure what to expect.
And I love that. Solid dismount, minimal hop on that. She'll get slight deduction, but that's a routine you want to see, especially coming after a fall.
Yes, and that one, just comparatively to Garvey's before that, probably not going to take as much time to calculate the score. The judges have to add up and make sure that she's at a 10.0 start value. They've got to deduct their execution marks from that, but it's going to be a lot less math for those judges. And so we do have one exhibition, Sydney Washington, who's going to get ready while the score is tabulated. But again, when there's a fall or when there's a major error, the judges have to then come back to it because the routine doesn't stop.
Right. If I'm Pitt's team, though, I'm happy with that rotation.
And a lot of coaches will talk, they want to go 24 for 24. They want to have the ability to choose which score they drop. But 20 for 24, as long as it's only one miss on each event, is still technically a hit meet.
Right, and I do like looking at 24 for 24 versus the scores all the time, because sometimes when you're looking at the numbers and going after, a 9.9 or higher, it can get, kind of like a game in your head. And so I think going out there and saying, hey, I'm going to hit this many routines out of this many routines is a great goal to have.
Did you ever put too much focus on the score?
I think as a team, we always had a score that we would go after, but I think it was more, if we hit 24 for 24 routines, we're going to get that score.
So hopefully that is what they're thinking about as well, is just let me hit my routine and not so much the score. But Sydney Washington closing it out for the Pittsburgh Panthers. Sydney, a sophomore out of Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Really nice front aerial. She floated in the air.
And it's really hard to connect those forward to backward skills.
It is, and you can see the leap. 180 leaps. Another front toss. Solid routine so far. Getting ready for this dismount. Round off 1.5. Wow, and a nice stuck landing.
That was fantastic. That was a hey, put me in, coach.
Absolutely.
So that concludes the first rotation. Pitt wrapping it up on the balance beam. so far so good. No teams having to count a fall at this point. Some words of encouragement for Coach. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with rotation number 2. Welcome back inside Reynolds Coliseum. We've got a fantastic gymnastics meet here for you with NC State leading after rotation number 1 with a 49.175. Let's take a quick look at some highlights from the first event.
You can see Lex Ortega starting off with this huge vault, great amplitude, solid landing. Now on to Lauren Rutherford, another big vault, knew exactly where it was in the air. And then to end it, Emily Shepard, ginormous vault. Complete stick, exactly what you want to see.
Absolutely. George Washington on the uneven bars. Rachel Katz with this fantastic bar routine, just a hop on that landing, and Deza Shambliss in the all-around. Huge routine and a stuck landing at that. And then Pittsburgh on the balance beam. Haley Copperwheat in the all-around today. Nice acro series. Threw in a double full turn, which is so difficult, and then just a fantastic dismount afterwards. So that was a quick recap of rotation number 1. NC State's going to move to the balance beam. On balance beam, NC State's going to be on bars. George Washington moves to the balance beam. Pitt is on the floor, and we've got the bar lineup there for the Wolfpack team.
Taking a look at their lineup, a lot of underclassmen, which is really exciting for State, in the next couple of years. All these gymnasts already getting so much exposure and, again, so young.
Absolutely. George Washington on the balance beam. Again, a slew of underclassmen, but lead off and anchored by 2 on the more senior side. And then we'll get our first look at the floor exercise this afternoon with a great, diverse lineup within the Pitt Panthers.
Really great first rotation, though, for all teams. So looking to build off of, the first event, but 2 of the teams have falls and didn't have to count them.
And that's a great point. Like you said, nobody's counting a fall at this point in the competition, which is fantastic for all of these teams. George Washington and Pitt looking for a great away score or a road score. NC State looking for another great home score.
Exactly.
This is Annalise Silverman on balance beam for George Washington.
Beautiful front aerial. You can see she was a little bit off, but really covered it. Unfortunately, her hips were a little too turned on that last back handspring.
NC State's Haley Merchant leading off on the uneven bars. NC State ranked 2nd in this event in the Eagle Conference. And Naira Winder starting off on floor for Pitt.
Really big double pike to start this rotation off for Pitt.
And this is the blessing and the curse of a tri-meet is you've got a lot going on, but at the same time, it's hard to pick one to watch because you've got so much going on.
Right. You can see Haley Merchant just finishing up that dismount. Slight hop on that landing, but really solid routine.
Silverman finishing up her balance beam routine, a step on the landing there. And again, being in that leadoff spot with the fall puts a lot of pressure on the remaining 5 in the lineup.
Floor is such a fun event just to show off your personality.
Naira, a junior out of Dover, Delaware, not unfamiliar with the floor exercise. And I feel like sometimes as you get up there, just in terms of like junior, senior class, you just have way more fun with it.
Absolutely, especially with your teammates on the side getting into it. I think you kind of hit your groove, so really exciting to see. A nice floor routine to start. You could see a couple little steps on that last pass, but huge double tuck.
This is Sarah Zoyce for George Washington.
And Haley Merchant with the 9.85 to start off the Wolfpack. That's a great first score. Your leadoff is getting a 9.85.
Absolutely love it. This is Peyton Child.
Nice Jaeger to start off this bar routine. Bale, not quite to handstand, but a nice handstand on that high bar. And a stuck dismount to end that routine. Those stuck landings are so important because these gymnastics competitions come down to the very last 10th, which could be a step or not in a routine.
Absolutely. NC State losing last week by .025. That's how close the meet was. When a step on a landing is 1/10.
That could have won the meet. Exactly.
It really could have. Had they stuck one more landing last week, they may have come off with the win. All right, back over to floor. Sierra Ward.
Getting ready for that first pass. Had a little bit of a lunge, but nice first pass. You can see on the left we have beam as well. Back handspring, back layout, solid.
Love the triple series.
I feel like they're kind of making a comeback. I've seen a lot more triple series this year than I have in the past.
They most definitely are, especially because they get a 10th bonus.
That too. Again, you started a 9.4 on the balance beam and have to work your way up to get that bonus to start at a 10.
Great finish for Ward on the floor. It almost looks like she stalled out on that punch front, but she pulled it out.
She did. She covered that really well.
So Ward finishing up. Zoyce getting ready for her dismount.
Round off double full. Really nice dismount.
This is Kaylee Adamates on the uneven bars.
A little bit short on that last handstand. Double tuck. It looked like it was kind of far out, but she really pulled it at the very end.
She really did, and she's, as a freshman, it's really hard to break into this NC State lineup because they did have many, I want to say 20 out of 24 routines returning from last year. So just being able to break into that lineup, they didn't have a lot of spots to give away, and it's good for her for being able to prove herself. So something you don't see very often in a tri-meet is all of the events not with anybody on them.
I know. The most fun part about these meets is there's always so much going on, whether it's someone competing, whether it's the fans cheering. It's always kind of chaotic in the best way.
So it looks like Bars is getting ready for their next one. Still some scores coming in for Beam and Floor. Beam and Floor, they just have more skills. The judges have to compute a little bit more. Like you mentioned, the gymnasts don't start from a 10.0. So how are they getting from a 9.4? Because that's really what they start at, to that 10.0.
There's a lot of requirements that they have to have. For example, on Beam, just this year they changed it so you have to have a C dismount. And so in order to get those, you really have to look at your routine with certain skill values, connections, difficulty of those skills to be able to build up to that 10.0. That's why we'll see this year a lot more creative and unique skills than we have in the past.
Lex Ortega on the uneven bars.
Huge release move.
She does that so well.
She does.
All right, and now we are rocking and rolling. Marley York on balance beam for George Washington. Jordan Ewing on the floor exercise.
And had the slightest shift of her feet. There wasn't even a step. It was like a tiny little scoot.
It is, and what sucks is the judges still have to take half a tenth.
Right. Nice front toss, top left on balance beam. One and a half front layout on floor. She did go out of bounds. Too much power, which is a great problem to have, though.
Especially this early in this season, just to be able to have that energy. You've got a long, some teams have 13 meets in this season, so there's still plenty of time to be able to start controlling everything.
Right. Nice dismount. Had that big lunge forward, so that will be a deduction. Nice double pike, though. Really high in the air. Knew exactly where she was on that landing. Love to see the smiles in these routines as well. And don't forget that the dance in these floor routines makes it harder. Like, that's part of the endurance as well.
It really is. Emily Shepard up for the Wolfpack. Prior to that, Lex Ortega with that 9.85.
Nice
9.825.
Huge pack. Had a little bit too much power. You can see she's trying to get that pirouette over.
Looks like just off a little bit. She caught that release move a little bit close to the bar, kind of threw off the next skill.
Right. Nice finish to the routine. A lot of these events, too, it's all about the timing. I think it's important on balance beam and bars especially to have that rhythm, and it's different for everyone. So sometimes if you're going a little ahead of yourself or too fast, it can mess up that rhythm that you're used to.
So not the routine that Shepard wanted. Probably not the routine that Coach wanted either. Coach Starkel is their bar coach, but again, they can always drop the lowest score. Shepard actually ranked 5th in the Eagle Conference on the uneven bars.
The good thing about that bar routine, though, is that she didn't come off. So even though she struggled and got through the routine, which again could come down to that last couple tenths at the end of a competition.
Definitely. That hit of the feet on the floor is going to be a larger deduction, but it's not a fall. Over on the balance beam, Rachel Katz. And again, George Washington still trying to come back from the fall that they had early on in the rotation.
It is a lot more pressuring for the rest of your lineup, so it will be a good test for them.
Looks like Shepard still came in with a 9.625.
Really nice handstand to release move on the bars. You can see that bail to handstand.
So you've got Lauren Rutherford for the Wolfpack, Haley Copperwheat on floor for Pitt, and Katz finishing up on beam.
Nice finish to that bar routine. Did have a little bit of chest down on that landing, so she had the tiniest hop forward, but again, an easy fix.
Stuck beam dismount for George Washington. copper weight ranked 3rd on this event currently. And that's narrowly behind 2 George Washington gymnasts. So
really nice double tuck. She made that look easy, especially for a last pass.
She seems happy with that routine, as does the team. And again, sitting in 3rd place in the Eagle right now on that event. George Washington coming in 1st and 2nd, another Pitt gymnast in 4th, and then we've got NC State coming in 5th place spot. So we've got a lot of those top athletes on floor this afternoon. This is Sophia Obregon in the exhibition spot for the Wolfpack. There's a quick look at the NC State results. So all 9-8s counting except Emily Shepard's. Again, that score to drop.
And that's a solid rotation for NC State. You love to see those 9-8s, those 9-8-5s, especially this early on in the season. As the weeks go on, love to see some 9-9s in there as well, which they're absolutely capable of. But again, it's still so early on.
And you see that total down in the bottom corner, that 98.3, which is exactly where they want to be. The goal really is that 49 plus on every event. So 98, above 98, halfway through the meet, that's exactly where they want to be. That's going to be a 196 plus.
Absolutely, that's a
when
great
they finish
setup.
up.
You can see that bars ended again, being a shorter event. Really nice mount on beam. That takes a lot of strength, and you do not see many of those.
Absolutely gorgeous. So Raina Garvey is up on the floor exercise, and this is Dina Sharameda on beam for George Washington.
Beautiful form on the balance beam. You can see it all the way down to her toe point is stunning. Looks like she broke out of that pass on floor, but covered it really well.
So Raina having some fun on floor, not phasing Deanna on the beam. But it is worth noting, this is how the gymnasts practice. They're never only on one event. Anytime you're on beam, some of your teammates are on floor, and even going through elementary, middle school, high school, when you went to a competition, there's always somebody on floor.
Right, so this isn't necessarily new to them.
So Deanna finishing up there, a little stumble on the landing of that dismount, while Raina gets set for her last tumbling pass.
To note, her last tumbling pass, she did her double pike, and you could see her heel was up. She knew she was close to that out of bounds.
She did. You are absolutely correct.
Just landed a little bit short.
Such a great routine up until that point.
The rest of her passes were absolutely beautiful.
So we've got one more on floor. We've got 2 up on balance beam. Deja Chambliss getting some last minute pointers. Again, she is one of the all-arounders here today. So Deja's in the anchor spot on beam. And then we'll take a quick look over here at Sydney Washington for the Panthers. She is also in the anchor spot on floor. Pitt does not have an exhibition on floor.
This anchor spot on beam, already a tough position to be in. I know we keep talking about it, but just to reiterate, a lot more pressure when you do have a fall.
Deja, a graduate student, so she has taken a 5th year. So I assume if you want somebody in this much of a pressure scenario, you're going to want somebody that's got that many years of experience.
She's exactly who you want in the spot. Really nice acro series back handspring back layout. You could just see the rise on that back layout. Very solid so far. Nice leap connection as well. You could see it in her eyes. She's like, I'm going to hit this routine.
She's got it. It's interesting. You pointed out the toe point from Sharamita prior to this. And so, you know, it is a difference between the gymnast that kind of curls her foot under
and has a nice long extended toe point.
Not that Deja's not pointing her toes. It's just differences in what you can see.
Absolutely. Really difficult dismount. Back handspring step out to a back handspring 2-foot double full. She made that look easy.
Fantastic routine and a great success story for George Washington on the balance beam. Again, not having to count that fall early on. Such a hard spot to be put in from the get-go.
They have to be pleased with that.
So that beam score is going to jump up, that 96.875. We're going to add quite a bit to that one. We are ready on the floor. Had a quick judges conference, but Sydney Washington is now ready to go. What fun music.
I was going to say, this is going to be a fun routine. First pass. Really big double pike. No problem on that landing. Nice leap pass. When you see these routines every day in practice, I think you literally memorize everybody's routine.
Definitely.
Every single one of your teammates' routine.
And they normally do them on the sideline.
I was going to say, that's the most fun part. Nice middle pass. Right into that dance move.
She is definitely having some fun out here.
She is. Showing off that personality.
I'll be curious to watch her over the next couple years as well. She's only a sophomore.
And she's competing like a veteran. I mean, what a nice routine. I loved those landings that she had, especially this early on in season, to see the confidence. You gotta love that.
So a great finish for Washington as we take a look at Nancy Kiner in the exhibition spot. Some great leaps, and the gymnasts do have specific criteria that they have to meet on every event. Beam specifically, you've got to have a tumbling series, you've got to have a leap series. That C dismount that you talked about, this dang full turn.
Don't let full turns trick you. They are harder than you'd think.
I think that's one of those things you get asked quite a bit. Most of these gymnasts have been doing a full turn on beam, just a single full turn since they were 7, 8 years old, something like that. I feel like it comes in around level 5, maybe?
Probably one of the first skills you learn, but can be one of the most challenging as you go through the levels.
It's so easy, you stop thinking about it, and when you stop thinking about it, you end up wobbling or, unfortunately, falling. Hopefully not. But like I said, one day, maybe they will take it out. We will see. But that concludes the second rotation. We are halfway through. We've got the totals down in the bottom of your screen. NC State still in the lead with that 98.3. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a few moments. to Raleigh, North Carolina. You're watching women's college gymnastics. A quick look at the midway point in our tri-meet this afternoon. NC State led the first rotation by 3/10, and after rotation number 2, extended that lead over half a point, counting all 9-8 plus scores on the uneven bars. We're going to take a quick look at some of the rotation number 2 highlights.
Lex Ortega, 9.825, huge dismount in that routine, slight hop, but beautiful. Now looking at Lauren Rutherford, 9.85, really nice double layout as well to finish off that rotation.
George Washington on the balance beam, led by Zoyce and Katz. Nice acrobatic series there by Zoyce with a 9.75 and a fantastic dismount to close that one out. A quick look at Rachel Katz. Fantastic acro series and a double flight into her dismount, coming in with a 9.725 to close that one. Pitt on floor, coming in, Copper Wheat with a 9.825, a fantastic double back at the finish of her routine, and she knew that was a great one. Followed closely by Washington, who led the team with a 9.875, and again closing it out with a double back, knowing exactly where she is on that landing. We are getting ready to start rotation number 3. NC State is on the balance beam, George Washington on floor, and Pitt is moving to vault.
It's been such a fun meet so far. It's really loud here in the arena as well, which we tend to see with these tri-meets and so much going on at once.
Love it. There's a quick look at NC State lineup. Gabby Diaz leading off the pack as she always does. Getting some last minute pointers from Coach Landris. George Washington on the floor being led off by Peyton Lynch. And a quick look at Pitt's vault lineup. Starting off with Raina Garvey. Again, an unfortunate fall on the floor exercise, but I know she's going to get right back to business.
And a really nice stuck full. She's definitely back in business.
All right, Diaz on balance beam. And Peyton Lynch kicking us off on floor.
Nice 1.5 front layout into a jump.
Adding an extra 10th of bonus there.
The jumps out of those passes are really difficult, but they are becoming more popular at the collegiate level.
Great acro series. We touched on it earlier. Those forward to back road acro series are really difficult to connect.
Absolutely. You could see on floor a huge double tuck. Landed a little bit short on that. Nice stuck beam dismount. That can't bring into that 1.5.
This is Macy Jennings, or sorry, Christina Weiss on vault.
Another nice full, had a little hop on the landing.
So Pitt already 2 down on vault. Lynch finishing up her floor routine. Excited about that one. And there's Macy Jennings up in the second spot for the Wolfpack on beam. So Macy Jennings waiting after Diaz on the balance beam. Marley York will be up next on floor. And Sierra Ward awaiting her turn on vault.
You can see some laughs over there on beam, which is always a great sign.
So Christina Weiss coming in at 9.75 on vault.
It's not too common that nobody's going right now. It's the second time we've seen this.
Time. Peyton Lynch at 9.65 on floor. So again, GW holding the first and second place spot on this event, which we will see later on.
Looked like that first pass was a triple full. And that's a really difficult skill. It looked like she almost had to quickly get that last turn in. But again, very difficult.
A lot of ease skills, and we talked about it a little bit where gymnasts are starting to be more creative. I also really think they're bringing back some of the difficulty. It went away for a little bit, and I think teams started to almost play the game too much, where it was about the perfection and doing the bare minimum to get by. So it's really nice to see a lot of the gymnasts throw the E skills and throw the combinations.
I agree, because before it's always clean gymnastics, good form, more of the technical aspect, whereas now we're seeing girls get rewarded for these bigger skills.
And they have all those requirements that they have to do, but there's also a deduction that's up to the level. So are they competing up to the level? And when you play it safe, sometimes you get that deduction.
Right, and you can see huge vault. She had great amplitude off the table. Slight hop on the landing, which will be a deduction. But one thing to point out on the vault is that the full starts at a 9.95, so it's not that 10.0 start value. And we see that, with a lot of teams across the board, those half a tenths will add up, at the end of the meet. So that's something to be aware of as well.
And I think that's something to note too between the teams that are in the top 10 or the top 15. Most of those teams have at least half their lineup doing 10.0 start values. And we've only seen maybe one today, and that was Madison Benson, who was not even in the lineup.
Right. And a lot of times as season goes on, they may be playing with it in the gym or practicing it, so we may see those start to come out in competition.
So Macy Jennings for the Wolfpack.
Getting ready for her acro series.
NC State ranked first on this event.
Really nice on both screens, that hit beam series and also a great vault.
That was Sydney Washington for Pitt. Over on the floor, Annalise Silverman.
Getting ready for her first pass. 1.5 to a front layout, no problem there.
George Washington second on this event, just behind NC State, who obviously we'll see next.
And we've seen a lot of that throughout this whole meet, really close on these event rankings. Round off 1.5 dismount, she nailed that.
That was a fantastic routine for Jennings, especially after that long wait that she had.
An exclamation point on the routine is what I like to say.
It's the last thing the judges see. There's something to it.
There is. I will say, sometimes you might see some higher scores with that nailed dismount.
Kennedy Duke for Pitt. You kind of saw on the screen there that 9.9. That was for Sydney Washington.
9.9s at this point in the season too. It's really encouraging. It's what you want to see.
Especially when the vault's only worth a 9.95.
That's definitely something to take note of.
I always look at it, I mean, that's pretty close to perfect. If
right.
the vault's only worth a 9.95, then a 9.9's pretty dang good.
I'll take a 9-9 any day.
Any day, any day. Krista Zoltovich for the Wolfpack up in the 3rd spot. And then we'll have
another 9.9 for Pitt on the vault. That's exactly what you want to see. Those 9.9s back-to-back, building that lineup. Very well deserved.
Pitt actually coming in ranked 5th on the vault, but it is not looking like that. Giving NC State and George Washington a run for their money on that event. So Krista getting ready for balance beam. Haley Copperwheat.
A nice vault for her. You could see the hop back, so that will be a deduction. That's something that you want to practice in the gym. Those landings are just key.
And again, those are the little things that the judges are going to start paying more and more attention to as the season goes on, is if something is a 9.9 and the next vault is not quite as good, it's got to come down in score.
Right.
Deanna Sharamita on the floor exercise.
Her first pass, the front handspring Rudy, had a little bit of a bigger lunge on that, but stayed in bounds. 1.5 front layout.
Krista doing a fantastic job on beam, staying really calm.
Like we said with these tri-meets, there's a lot going on, and on beam, you're used to having, you know, that beam music, that calmness, not floor music blasting. And so it's something, you know, that you do have to practice for and be aware of.
It is different because this is how they practice in the gym, but when you come into a competition with a dual meet, you're kind of used to the back and forth.
Right, and that's back-to-back stuck dismounts for the Wolfpack. Coach Landris has got to be happy with that.
So Pitt is done on the vault. We've still got a few more gymnasts left for both the Wolfpack and the Colonials.
When you start hitting those landings and getting those stuck dismounts, it's contagious, and I think it spreads to the rest of your lineup, and it really just gets the rest of your team amped up. So that's one of the best things, you know, in the sport of gymnastics and in these competitions, is just the excitement.
It may be a superstition, but sticks are contagious.
Yeah.
So
they are.
Sharamita finishing up on floor. Currently tied for 5th in the Eagle on that event with a couple of NC State gymnasts, and Lex Ortega getting ready for her turn at the beam.
You can see big smiles from her, which it is hard to smile on the beam. For some people, it comes easy.
This is Kendall Whitman on floor. Whitman actually ranked 1st in Eagle on this event with a 9.925. Huge.
Double front, and you could see she knew she was close. I don't know if she went out of bounds.
It was really hard to tell, especially since we're on the other side of the floor.
I don't think she did.
I have no idea, but that was huge. Lex Ortega with her back handspring Anodi acro series, just so unique and flawless.
Incredible. I can't explain how difficult that series is, and she just made that look way too easy.
Yeah, 4 inches wide, you jump backwards, do a half turn, and land on your hands.
I'm not sure I could do that on the floor.
No, I don't want to try.
In a straight line, yeah.
And she's actually struggled on that. The first meet she fell on it. Last week she actually wobbled quite a bit, so it's really good to see that confidence back up.
Another stick for that dismount. I mean, she's getting the team going. You got to be excited if you're in that lineup right now.
Kendall finishing up. Nice last pass. She did end up going out on that first tumbling pass, but man, was that a big double front.
She's still got to be happy with that. Again, that's showing that she had too much power, which is a great problem to have, especially this early on in the season, like we keep saying. But that was a beautiful routine to watch.
So we've got one more in the lineup on floor with an exhibition. We've got two more on balance beam plus an exhibition there as well. The Wolfpack led by this senior right here, Emily Shepard.
She's been really fun to watch this year, and you can just see great gymnastics, but also great form and artistry and lines.
There's a quick look at Emily's score so far today, that 9.875. Fantastic vault. Again, the mishap on bars of, a little bit too close on her release move and then having to hit her. I think it was a pack salto. Is that what
it was, but the good thing about it is that she didn't come off the bar. She fought through that routine.
So even a mistake, which you might think is big, she still ended up at a 9.625.
Right, and at the end of the competition, that might be the difference of first and second place. Difficult leg up turn to start off this routine.
Deja Chambliss.
Really pretty leaps on the balance beam. You could see those 180-degree splits.
So two all-arounders side by side.
Huge double pike.
Plenty of room after her tumbling pass, making sure she doesn't step out of bounds.
They're both rock solid so far.
So the only minor thing was Emily on that turn was like a shrug of a shoulder.
Yeah, if even, and so far in this routine, I don't think I've seen her move since.
Yeah. Deja currently ranked second on this event behind her teammate that we just saw, Kendall Whitman.
And you can see Emily Shepard just finished that routine. It was almost a stick. I think I saw the tiniest little foot shift in there, but she's got to be happy with that, especially after coming off a mistake on bars.
Ooh.
Looked like she just held on to that double tuck a little too long because she had enough height.
Yeah, very, like you said, I held on a little too long and just couldn't get the foot back to take the step and ended up having to take the fall.
Let's take another look right here.
So plenty of height.
Really nice double tuck, yeah. It just looked like she couldn't get that lunge out.
Just held on a little bit too long, but did not go out of bounds. So
it is good, though, when you see mistakes like that happening, that it was a backwards mistake, because for those skills, falling forwards is almost worse. It means you don't have enough power or enough endurance. So, again, still a mistake, but I would rather fall backwards than forwards.
Definitely. And like you said, she just held on a little too long. She could have opened it up. Maybe she felt she was a little more gassed than she actually was, but she's a veteran. I bet she won't make that mistake again. All right, Chloe Negretti up on beam. You see Emily Shepard's 9.875.
You can really just see the competitiveness in Chloe's eyes. Like, I love it. She's such a fierce competitor. And, she's like, hey, I'm going to go up and nail this routine and nothing's going to stop me.
This is it. Kylie Kazmierski on floor. in the exhibition spot. Negretti tied for third in the eagle on balance beam, so on her event.
Nice front aerial. You could see she was a little bit crooked, but didn't even make it noticeable. A cat leap into that leap combination, beautiful.
The precision that she has on every skill. She knows where her arms are, where her legs are.
It's exactly why she's the anchor.
And again, the Wolfpack team's so excited for Chloe to be back this year.
Getting ready for this dismount. Round-off double full stuck dismount. I gotta say, that might be a 9-9 routine.
And it just doesn't faze her. It's like, this is my day job. Let me do what I'm here to do, and we'll get it done.
It's like it was expected, and I love that. I think that's exactly what you want in your athletes.
I do too. Like you said, fierce competitor. So a fantastic finish for Negretti on beam. Peyton Childs still to exhibition. And Kazmierski finishing her floor routine, which will wrap up George Washington's third event. And you can see just quickly at the bottom of this screen there, it is a 1/2 tenth difference between Pitt and GW right now.
We knew it was going to come down to that last race.
A 1/2 tenth is that scooch of a foot.
It is.
It's that scooch of a foot. If the judge sees it, they've got to take the deduction. So George Washington's going to move to vault, where they are ranked #1 in the Eagle Conference. And Pitt is going to move to the uneven bars, where they are actually tied with George Washington for 4th.
And George Washington, like you said, ranked #1 in the Eagle. It's always nice to end on one of your strongest events.
Definitely. So I'm anxious to see what they've been able to pull together. And Peyton Childs going to wrap things up on balance beam.
I'm anxious to see Chloe's score as well. In the 9-9. And very well deserved, I have to say.
Definitely. You called that one. The Wolfpack trying to get the fans into it. Sometimes I don't know that they realize like how close to perfect the 9.9 is.
Right. It's the smallest step, the smallest movement, especially on the balance beam that's 4 inches wide. You can see a smile from her. I think that might have been the first that I've seen this competition.
She'll smile afterwards. Gotta love some of the fans.
It's a great time for Peyton Childs just to go up, relax, do her thing, no pressure.
So Peyton in and out of lineups on multiple events, just giving this Wolfpack team some depth.
Getting ready for her acro series. That canting back layout step out with a little jump added. Very nice.
Just adding all those little tenths and bonus. Another thing to point out is that the gymnasts don't necessarily only add 6/10 of bonus to their routine. A lot of them will have up to a point in bonus just in case they'd miss a connection or they fall on something, the extra padding.
A lot of times you might not even notice that they miss a connection because they cover it up so well and then add in a jump here or there in the routine. So it really is thinking on your feet. Really solid routine so far. Just has the dismount left.
And I always love these regular season meets where your teammates can be right beside the event.
And she got that stick. I mean, if you're that Wolfpack team, you've got to be happy with these sticks on balance beam today.
They have just done absolutely fantastic. You see they're over a point in the lead so far, and a point in gymnastics. I mean, I compare that to a couple of touchdowns in a football game. That's how big of a difference it is. So that is the completion of 3 out of 4 rotations. You can see there where everyone is in the standings. We'll take a quick break and be back with the 4th and final rotation. Welcome back inside Reynolds Coliseum for the 4th and final rotation in this tri-meet between NC State, George Washington, and Pitt. You can see there a quick summary. NC State has just continued to dominate, leading after the first rotation, the second rotation, and increasing that to 1.3 in the third. Quick look at today's all-arounders, led by Pitt's Haley Copperwheat at 29.45. Narrowly followed behind NC State's Emily Shepard, 0.075. We're going to take a look at some quick highlights for the third rotation, starting with Pittsburgh on the vault.
We saw 2 back-to-back 9-9s from Washington. Huge vault, stuck that landing right into Duke. She goes another huge vault, nailed that landing. Again, back-to-back 9-9s, exactly what Pitt was looking for.
And NC State on the balance beam.
We have Emily Shepard, gorgeous series, doesn't even move. Lights out, right into Chloe Negretti's dismount. She ended this beam rotation with an exclamation mark. Absolutely nailed it.
And George Washington on the floor exercise, led by Shara Maida. We'll take a look here at her tumbling run. Just a fantastic combination, knew right where she was at, and a great finish to that floor routine. So NC State leading the pack, the rotation, and the meet with that 147.5. George Washington's going to end on the vault, where they are ranked #1 in the Eagle Conference on that event. A quick look there at the lineups. We've got Pitt ending on the uneven bars. Again, led by Sydney, who just fantastic score on the vault prior to this, and NC State on the floor exercise, where they are really trying to pull it away with this meet.
I know we mentioned it earlier, but nobody's ending on the balance beam, so we can all take a deep breath.
All right, bars is ready and rocking and rolling. Sydney Washington to start. Marley York up first for George Washington.
And a nice vault to start off that rotation. Great distance on the table. There will be a deduction for the hop, but overall a great start. You can see another solid start on the bars as well. There's always a little more excitement on that last event. NC State just getting to end on floor, which again, you have the most adrenaline on. It's the most fun, I think, to end on.
Home advantage, something to be said about that. They're really going to get the fans into this. There's a lot of people in the stands today, and they're going to really hope that they get into these routines.
Right, and why not? Use it to your advantage. Getting ready for her first pass. Round up by Handspring double pike. A little bit short, but covered it well.
Sarah Zoyce, real quick there, a little quick blurb on the vault. Yurchenko full, a little bit of a leg separation, but very dynamic. A little bit of a delay on bars as we get set. Raina Garvey is going to be up next for Pitt.
Front layout, front full.
Looks a little hesitant on some of the landings.
Yeah, it looked a little bit squatty, but again, she popped up and covered it well.
So one more tumbling run. You see all the teammates over there in the corner.
And a great last pass. No problem on that.
Yeah, that landing was really good.
Huge half on vault.
Rachel Katz
She had
for
that
George
blind,
Washington.
and she had that blind landing and took a slight hop forward, but those are hard to find.
So Diaz finishing her floor routine. She's going to be followed by Madison Benson.
It looks like bars did have a judges conference, so we're still waiting on them. It's important to stay loose and focused. A lot of times standing around can be difficult, physically and mentally.
You get into such a groove, and then to be paused, it's like icing the kicker.
That's a really good analogy, absolutely.
All right, so Raina Garvey on bars and Annalise Silverman.
Nice release move. She did catch a little close to the bar. On vault, you can see good vault. That landing was a little bit piked though, so she had to take a couple of steps back, which will be a deduction.
A nice unique dismount for Garvey. That toe on front pike half. And Benson ready to show it off on floor. She always has so much fun with this routine.
That's what makes the crowd get into it. That's what makes it, you know, so much more fun to watch. Huge double pike. Nice landing.
Very big on the facial expressions.
I was just about to say, I love the facial expressions. That's how you know when they're happy.
They're so fun. It's definitely a college thing. If you watch college gymnastics lately, floor especially, it's a performance. You know, it's like a theater performance.
It really is, and you actually can get deducted for artistry on floor.
This is Deja Chambliss.
Huge vault.
Beautiful.
Very dynamic, laid out, nice lines in the air. Just, you know, that slight hop on the landing.
All right, so final tumbling pass for Benson.
Round off handspring, double tuck. Nice landing. Looked like her feet shifted a little bit.
A little bit, like a bounce out of it, something not quite perfect. And again, the judges are looking for controlled landing. So if it is something like that that you can notice, that's when they start to pick up their pen and make those little tally marks on their paper.
Right. And those landings a lot of times come from where your body position is in the air, where your chest is when you're landing. You want that chest up.
Yeah, Benson on the Wolfpack squad, tied for 5th on floor exercise. This is Lucia Jacob on the uneven bars.
And it looked like she was a little bit short trying to get that pirouette on the low bar, so she did do a second one, but didn't come off the bar, fought through it. It's exactly what you want to see.
Kendall Whitman with a very unique 10.0 start value for a handspring onto the springboard for a handspring front pike off. That's a lot of forward flipping.
A lot, and for an event that doesn't have much forward flipping, so that's fun to see.
Very true. She's ranked 8th in the Eagle on that event. And again, that will change as her average continues to go up, and then as they switch from an average to a national qualifying score or an NQS score.
George Washington done with their competition.
So fast.
The perks of ending on vault, right?
So fast, yes. And they don't have any exhibition, so that is it for George Washington. they will just have to sit and wait to see what the Wolfpack and what the Panthers end with. This is Krista Zoltovich.
She's a transfer from Kentucky.
And making a great impact, but.
And that was a 2.5 to a front tuck. I saw her nail it in warm-ups, and it was beautiful last week. Definitely an uncharacteristic mistake.
Almost like she came out of the 2.5 and kind of hit like a dead spot. Just didn't get that punch, didn't get the rebound out of it.
We tend to see that sometimes on those connections on floor. The 1.5 to front layouts, the Rudy to punch back layout. Sometimes you just hit those dead spots. And unfortunately, that was a fall, but ends really well with that double tuck. Got her chest up on that landing.
Jordan Ewing for Pitt on the uneven bars, ranked 10th on this event in the Eagle.
Nice release move, really nice bail. The judges love to see those bail to handstands, and we don't see those all the time. So, you know, when we do see one, it always makes the routine look that much better.
Fantastic full pirouette right on top of the bar.
Short on that dismount, you can see that will be a deduction, but a solid routine. Of course, NC State not wanting to count a fall.
But they've got some fantastic people coming in lineup.
It is a good test as well for the rest of the lineup. Obviously, you don't want to fall. We don't want to count falls. But it is good to see, you know, how the rest of the lineup handles it and takes it, because these are things that you do practice for.
And Rutherford, just a sophomore, but she has been a solid rock in this lineup. So she loves performing on floor. I think this will be a great way, again, assuming she can hold on to the landings, to really get the Wolfpack back on track.
We saw beautiful on vault from her, beautiful bar routine.
So a 9.025 from Krista. Again, hopefully that'll be the score that this Wolfpack team can drop. They're 49 plus on 3 events so far, looking for one more 49.
49 on 3 events is spot on. It's exactly where you want your team. First pass, you can see that 2.5 front tuck, beautiful. I mean, absolutely nailed that.
And then this is Natalia Pavlik finishing.
That was an awesome save. Like, she was gonna step and she saved it, and it was a beautiful double layout. I loved the fight on that.
Great line on her bar routine.
That is something that the judges look at, your lines.
Rutherford again with the facial expressions.
Such a fun routine, too. Getting ready for this next pass.
Rutherford also in the top 10 on this event, coming in at 9th.
Huge double tuck. You could see she held on a little long, but wow, she saved it on that lunge, because that could have gone out of bounds.
She really did. It was one of those kind of that nerve-wracking end.
We're going to take a look at this first pass again. I mean,
so the
textbook.
same thing that Krista was trying to do.
You can just see when you hit it right on, you just absolutely bounce and fly in the air.
So a fantastic follow-up from Rutherford. And then we've got Pavlik bar score coming in at 9.925, so huge. And again, that was a gorgeous routine. So final competitor for Pitt is Haley Copperwheat. Again, leading the all-around coming into this 4th and final event. So really hoping that she can hold on.
She needs to get this stick. Really good bar routine so far. Wow. Wasn't quite a stick, but she really did cover that up.
That was a great routine, great dismount, like you said, just that tiny hop.
Yeah.
We'll take another quick look here.
And you can see how this dismount just rises in the air. Really nice. I mean, the slightest.
It was really just moving the one foot to catch up to the other.
It was.
So we've got a pack of seniors in the final spots for this Wolfpack team. Emily Shepard and Chloe Negretti. Shepard again in that second place spot.
And this is really where you want to see this lineup build, especially with your veterans. They've been in this spot plenty of times before.
And then we've been talking a lot today that this, Eagle Conference and wherever all these gymnasts are ranked. This is NC State and Pitt's last year in the Eagle Conference. They're going to rejoin the ACC next year for the 23-24 season.
How exciting for them. I know when we talked to Kim, she was pumped about it.
Definitely. So they will join. So Eagle Conference right now also has UNC. So all three of those teams are going to move because Clemson is adding a women's gymnastics team to their list of sporting events, and that will make 4 teams, which is what you need in order to have a conference.
How exciting for, like we said, collegiate gymnastics.
I love seeing all these programs that are adding gymnastics. It's the caliber and the level has just gone up so much. I'd love to see more and more, but there's been a lot of schools over the last couple years. So we had Long Island University added theirs a couple years ago. It seems like just yesterday Lindenwood was added, but it's been a while now. And then we had Fisk this year. That's been
so awesome to see.
One of the big ones. Stays in bounds on that final tumbling pass.
Great landing, and again, a veteran move, knowing close to out of bounds, but saves it. So she's going to be happy with that routine.
Absolutely gorgeous out of Emily Shepard. And yes, it'll be fun to see Clemson in their debut season next year that they've been building a facility for, so that'll be really fun to watch.
I'm so excited for that. I think a lot of people are looking forward to it.
Definitely. We're going to take another quick look here at Shepard's last tumbling pass. And again, watch this. Knows exactly where to put that foot so that she does not go out of bounds.
You could see on that too, her chest was up, ready for that landing.
So ACC Gymnastics returning in 2024. ACC's 28th sponsored event. And Clemson, again, the newcomer that will allow UNC, NC State, and Pitt, who already sponsor gymnastics, to, I say go back to the ACC, but it's, these 3 teams have been in the Eagle Conference for what seems like forever. It's been quite a while.
Gymnastics as a whole, just as a sport, has become so much more popular too over the years, and I'm thrilled. It's so exciting. I'm looking forward to especially seeing Clemson, like you said, all these new schools that are adding teams.
I think more and more need to add them. If they can sponsor it, then add some gymnastics. So there you see at the bottom, the last time that any of these schools competed in the ACC was 1984.
How crazy.
It's been a few years.
Just a few.
All right, Chloe Negretti in the anchor spot on floor. It's a position that she handles so well.
Especially at a time right now. She's one of those fierce competitors, like we've been saying.
Tied for 5th in this event, based on averages.
Wow. Almost stuck. Didn't even need to lunge on that landing. Almost stuck it.
And she stuck that a couple of times in warm-ups and in touch, where she just stayed there. No need for a lunge.
Right before this routine, we could see Phil, the floor coach, trying to get the crowd into it. It's always fun. And a beautiful dancer as well. Next pass. Front floor to the front layout. It looked like that front layout was close. It was a little low, but boy, she covered that.
She really does. She's such a competitor, just kind of like a front whip almost. So a little deduction, not going to be her highest score, but
that they'll take it right now.
Definitely. The goal is to not count the fall.
Ending with that double top, close to that out of bounds. We're seeing all of these veteran moves today. I love it though. Great landing.
Fantastic. So a great job out of Chloe. Not her best floor routine, but again, we're only in week 3, so that's going to get better with time. And she was out last season, so really just kind of getting back into the swing of things.
You could see Coach Landress saying, good job. I think she knew there were a couple of mistakes that could have happened that, were prevented because, again, she's so good at this event. She's a senior. She knows exactly. She's been in this position before, and she handled it really well.
Definitely some follow-up from Coach Starkel. And then we've got an exhibition from Haley Merchant. And still a 9-9.
Wow. It was a great floor routine.
It was a really good floor. The only deduction I saw really was that tumbling pass. So one final competitor, all eyes on these last 3 gymnasts. So again, Haley Merchant finishing up the competition.
Really nice double pike.
What fun music to end on as well.
I do like this music. Getting ready for her next pass. Really nice. Made that look easy.
Just showing how much depth this NC State team has. So if they need it, then they do have just as quality gymnastics kind of waiting and ready to go in.
Right, and like we mentioned before, these lineups could change. I mean, it is still so early.
It is, and there's weeks where you might want to rest somebody's ankles or, a shoulder, an arm, whatever injury, something that you just may want to take a week off, or sometimes the teams have dual meet weekends where that's a lot of stress on your body. So it is great to have the opportunities to move people in and out. So a fantastic finish for Haley on the floor exercise, and a fantastic finish for the Wolfpack overall.
Absolutely. You can see that 196.65. Incredible score. Just continuing to build week after week. And, Coach Landress has got to be happy with her team.
Most definitely. And then a 1/10 difference between George Washington and Pitt.
We knew it was going to be a close competition, and we talked all meet long about how crucial those little steps, those little hops, how they can really affect that end score and be that last difference.
So a few mistakes by all teams, but nobody had to count a fall today, which is fantastic.
That's one of the biggest things to note, is that there were falls and there were mistakes, and all these teams bounced back and finished up the meet well, and that's all that you can ask for.
So overall, you see there, after the 4th and final rotation, NC State with a mid-196. So they continue to build, started the season mid-195, and already added a point to that score. There you can see there a 49 plus on every event. The only event they didn't win was vault, narrowly by that .025. George Washington coming in second with that 195.25, and third is Pitt with the 195.15. But again, those 195 pluses are great road scores for both of those teams that they'll likely carry later into the season as we start looking at national qualifying scores.
Yeah, I think it's good to note that, again, these are away scores, and those are sometimes tougher to get, and they did a great job. So they'll be happy with those.
All right, we're going to take a quick look at some of these final rotation highlights. Deja Chambliss on the vault for George Washington. This is Pavlik's beautiful 9.9 routine.
She saved for that stick
for Pitt. And then a quick look at Haley Copperwheat as well in the all-around competition today. And then we've got Emily Shepard on her final tumbling, or her opening tumbling pass.
Huge double pike, nailed that landing.
And Negretti, 3 event specialist, 9 nines across the board for Negretti this afternoon.
What a night for her. I mean, 9 nines across the board. 3rd week of the season, she's got to be thrilled.
Absolutely. Well, that concludes the competition. So after 4, NC State walks away with the win. This has been a production of ESPN. Alongside the whole crew, I'm Rachel Garland with Sydney Sneed. We're saying so long from Raleigh. Hey, Coach. Congratulations on the win this afternoon. Fantastic job. I want to chat about Emily just because she's been this star athlete. So a couple little mistakes on bars, and I know she's coming to Beam next for your event. How did you help her just kind of get back into the right mindset?
Honestly, she's such a team player. I didn't say one word. We just went on, like it didn't happen. That's why you have a team. Her teammates backed her up. And so we just moved on. It wasn't even mentioned.
I love it.
Things happen. We're human.
I love it. Absolutely.
And Coach, Chloe Negretti, 9 nines across the board. Phenomenal meet tonight. How has she had an impact on this team, especially after being out last year?
I mean, Chloe's just Chloe, and she's all about the details. She has a really high standard for herself. And so for us, we just need to keep pumping her up because she exceeds it almost every single time. So she's a phenomenal athlete, a phenomenal just young woman, and we're so glad she's part of this team.
Absolutely.
And then just a recap of today, 196.65, highest score so far, increased everything. What's the plan going into next week?
This is truly a special group of young women, and so we have been focusing on our landings, and beam 7 for 7 set dismounts. So honestly, we just have to continue focusing on those details. Today we said iron sharpens iron. And so I think, like, I don't know, the team, the periodic table, it was like FE or something. So we were just trying to sharpen each other. And I think going into next week, we're going to continue to carry that on.
I love it. Well, congratulations and good luck next week.
Thank you.
All right.